Are you scared of IELTS? It's not difficult at all so long as you have the right guidance. I joined Vivek Tech and I was able to score 9 in reading, 9 in listening, 8.5 in speaking, and 7.5 in writing. I'm Sachet Nair from the USA.
Vivek Tech is here with another incredible result. We have with us Sachet Nair from the United States of America, who has scored 8.5 in IELTS exam. So let's hear it from him. Hello Sachet, how are you?
Hi, Shani, I'm well. Thank you for that glowing introduction. But yeah, as you said, I recently gave my IELTS exam, and thanks to the amazing coaching I got from Vivek Tech, I was able to get a great result. There's a lot of value I gained from our classes that we had together. So I'm happy to be here and speak about those today.
Alright Sachet, so you were already very good with the language, an excellent command over the language. Do you think it is important to have coaching despite the fact that you are fluent in the language?
Yes, I do think coaching plays a very big role in making sure that you score really well in IELTS. Obviously, having a solid base also helps because the time you need to get to where you want to be is shortened by that. But I don't think without the proper coaching, if you just go in blindly into the exam thinking, I speak English on the daily, I converse with people every day, you're going to score well in IELTS, there's no guarantee because there's so many nuances to the exam and to the different modules that an experienced instructor can guide you about. And there's a lot of pitfalls that you may fall into even if you're familiar with the language, and the instruction can really help you navigate around those and make sure you can maximize your potential.
So the next thing, Sajid, I want you to tell our viewers is how you achieved this great score in each module. You scored a 9 in listening, a 9 in reading. I know that you are a natural reader, and being in the USA, you hear a lot of English, and also, as told by you, you do watch a lot of English movies. That must have really helped. But despite it, did we really push your score a little high?
Yes, I would definitely say so. I do think that two things with the teaching really helped me. First would be just practice, getting to
Right. Very good.
in every single class, being there with the teacher, starting from attempting it just on my own with what I thought were the right answers, to getting your answers critiqued and corrected where necessary, and your mistakes pointed out early on, helps you as over time you practice more, helps you to iron out those mistakes, because oftentimes in our casual speak we speak very casually, as I say. The English spoken language can be casual, whereas IELTS, the emphasis is on more formal speak. So you can often mistake text and context that in a casual setting you may use them differently, whereas in an exam setting their meanings can be slightly altered, and oftentimes you'll see in the answers two very similar answers, but which are there where you really have to make a decision. So those small tips and tricks that the instructors provide you and provided me really helped me to get those small bad habits out of my system and get me into an exam mindset, more so than as if with reading, say I'm just reading casually through it. I learned to read more critically, I would say. With listening, uh, paying attention to each line of the conversation with the mindset of that this information from this sentence is going to be useful in my ability to answer a question, and it's not just listening for listening's sake. So
Yes.
it really helped me get into the right mindset when approaching these sections, I would say.
Okay, so next I would like to tell us about the writing. A lot of people think that to get a desired score in writing, is very difficult. We were hoping that you would get a little higher band,
I
but then
I was as well because I
before.
just to say, add something really quickly there. I felt in my practice leading up to the exam, I wrote much better stuff in all my practice runs than I did on the day of the exam, and I attribute that to that. I think my topic in the exam had some was related to parenting in a way. So I felt it was a section where I could pull the least from my personal life experience in the time frame that we had. So I think that can play a factor. But had I not had the great coaching leading up to it, I probably would have scored a lot worse. So
So here,
yes.
the viewers can know that pressure. There's a lot of pressure in the exam, so you sometimes come under that pressure, and there's one module where one would perform a little less than what is expected of him. So that
Mhm.
is true. That's the part and parcel of the game. So
Yes.
can you tell our viewers how we helped you, how we really
Mhm.
helped you with this module?
Writing was definitely the module that I wanted the most help with, and I made this. So the one great thing about Vivek Tech that I found was that I primarily worked with Ishani and Vivek sir as part as they were both my instructors, and they were very open with me at the beginning of me enrolling about what I wanted help with that I felt I needed with. Of course, they were going to make their own assessments as well, and they did. But writing was definitely the section where I felt I needed the most help because on a routine basis I didn't do much writing. So as we practiced with writing some initial essays without any guidelines, there were so many mistakes that I was making just with sentence structuring, paragraph structuring, how to concisely wrap up each point with a good intro, a good body, and a good conclusion within the essay, as opposed to, just opening the essay and concluding the essay, which obviously you need to do. But each section needs to have that emphasis. Things like these that I personally just going in writing wouldn't have had these things in mind that each section needs to be well formed in its own right. Those tips were essential for the broader sentence structuring. Another excellent tip that I got and what really helped me was always supporting your point of view with examples where you can, and pulling from those to give more substance to your argument or to your point in general. Another thing was, and I think a lot of students, and in the past I've made this mistake and I think a lot of students can, is that oftentimes when you see essays like do you agree or disagree, let's take that sort of an essay as an
Okay.
example. uh, Students tend to think that they need to come up with the most correct answer. If I disagree, if it's the wrong answer as per the instructor, you will get bad marks. That's not the objective of the writing essay.
Exactly. A very good point that must be highlighted and must be heard by everyone that there is no correct answer to a question. So, an
Right.
excellent point.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and this is definitely a mistake I would make, that I would try to, even if, so when you try to analyze both arguments, even if I had better points for one side, if I thought, maybe the instructor is not going to agree with this side of the argument, I might force myself to write something I felt they would agree with. But I think that is probably going to be a detriment to you as opposed to a positive, and I wouldn't have gained that understanding without the coaching that I got.
Okay, so talking about the speaking module, 8.5 in speaking. I think that's the most satisfying band that you've got. It's very difficult to achieve that.
Mhm.
So can you tell how should one reach that band and how did we help you with it?
So one tip from my side before I get into the tips I got is, and I think this also practice really helped me getting here, is learning how to manage the clock in your head. Because it is a time-based module with more stricter restrictions than the other modules where you have more flexibility with your time. Here you're face to face with an instructor, you have a certain bound on time and a lower bound on time. And in my early runs I would often speak as much as I felt I had to speak, and it would be very short on time. And I'm sure Ishani can relate to this because It happened
Definitely.
way too often
Yes.
in our sessions. So slowly over time with practice, I learned to gauge my own time a little bit better. And getting to that point is important because firstly it keeps you within the time bounds, and secondly, which I first also felt, was it helps calm you down because you start thinking less about the time and start thinking more about what you're saying. Early on, when I started noticing that I was short on time, I was constantly focusing on, oh, I need to speak for speaking's sake. But towards the end, with more practice, it got to that I had a natural clock in my mind. So I didn't need to focus on the time. I knew I would get there automatically. So
So
that
regular speaking sessions that we
mm,
did actually helped. So
they
despite of the
helped
fact,
incredibly. They were, I think, in terms of me being able to score so high in speaking, there is no way I would have done that without the incredible sessions I had. Because I really want to highlight this because I think Vivek Estek were so generous towards me in this sense. As I said earlier, I'm based in the USA right now, and of course Vivek Estek is based in India, so we're on very different time zones. So I would join the classes in morning India time and night for me for the other three modules. But the speaking sessions would, the regular times that would be conducted, it would not work for me. But Ishani was very considerate of me. She took my special request for my time zone conflict, and she would, make time in her own schedule to get in a call with me and help me practice through several examples of these reading exams, continually conduct mocks with me, give me tips where necessary, correct my mistakes, and that repetition and that practice really, made me very well prepared going into the speaking exam. And I think there is no way I
thank
could
you.
have done that without that help.
Thank you for acknowledging it.